What if I told you that the most revolutionary and life-changing teachings you'll ever hear came from a single sermon delivered over 2,000 years ago? The Sermon on the Mount, found in Matthew chapters 5 to 7, is packed with profound truths that challenge the way we think, live, and treat others, even today. But how can these ancient words impact the modern world? Let's break it down, uncover the core principles, and see how they apply to the very issues we face in our daily lives. The Sermon on the Mount begins with one of the most famous sections of Scripture, the Beatitudes in Matthew chapter 5, verses 3 to 12. Jesus speaks directly to those who are poor in spirit, those who mourn, and those who are persecuted. But why does he call these people blessed? In a world that celebrates power, wealth, and success, Jesus honors the humble, the broken, and the marginalized. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Matthew chapter 5, verse 3. Jesus isn't just talking about financial poverty here. He's referring to a heart posture, one that recognizes its own need for God. Think about it. How often do we try to project strength and self-reliance, masking our vulnerabilities in a culture that tells us weakness is failure? Yet here, Jesus turns the idea upside down. In acknowledging our limitations, we open ourselves to receive divine strength. How does this apply to today? When we encounter life's challenges, whether it's dealing with anxiety, loss, or uncertainty, the Beatitudes invite us to approach these moments with humility, knowing that God's blessing is found in our dependence on Him. Next, consider Matthew chapter 5, verse 6. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. What does it mean to truly hunger and thirst for righteousness? In a world saturated with the pursuit of personal gain, status, and fleeting pleasures, righteousness calls us to long for justice, fairness, and what is morally right. It's the desire to see wrongs righted, to act with integrity even when no one is watching, and to seek after the things of God. It's not a passive pursuit. It's an active yearning that shapes our decisions and actions. Before we continue, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support helps us to continue sharing the profound wisdom, insights, and timeless truths of the Bible. Also, ensure you watch this video till the end to gain valuable insights from the Sermon on the Mount. Think about social justice movements today. There's a deep desire among many to see equality and fairness in areas like racial justice, economic equity, and the treatment of the marginalized. Jesus' words on righteousness go beyond individual morality. They encompass a hunger for the restoration of the world, where God's will is done on earth as it is in heaven. Matthew chapter 6, verse 10. This is the heart of the Sermon on the Mount, transforming our inner world so we can impact the world around us. Perhaps one of the most challenging teachings from the Sermon on the Mount comes in Matthew chapter 5, verses 38 to 39. You have heard that it was said, eye for eye and tooth for tooth. But I tell you, do not resist an evil person. If anyone slaps you on the right cheek, turn to them the other cheek also. At first glance, this teaching seems impossible. Does Jesus really want us to be doormats, letting people walk all over us? Not at all. Jesus is offering a radical new way of responding to conflict. In a culture and a world where revenge and retaliation are often seen as justified responses, turning the other cheek is a powerful act of defiance. It doesn't mean accepting abuse or injustice. It means rejecting the cycle of violence and vengeance. Think about our interactions today, whether it's online debates that escalate into hate speech or personal disputes where grudges linger for years. What would happen if, instead of seeking revenge, we chose to forgive, to respond with grace and not aggression? Forgiveness is one of the most countercultural acts we can practice. In forgiving, we are not condoning harmful behavior, but freeing ourselves from the toxic grip of bitterness. Studies today even show that holding on to anger can lead to physical and mental health issues, while forgiveness brings healing. Jesus' teaching on turning the other cheek invites us into a path of inner peace, where we respond to wrongdoing not with weakness, but with the strength of grace. Jesus doesn't stop at forgiveness. He pushes even further in Matthew chapter 5, verse 44. But I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. Loving those who love us is easy, but loving those who hurt us, That seems impossible. Yet it is in this command that Jesus reveals the depth of God's love. His love is unconditional, extending even to those who reject and oppose him. How does this apply today? We live in a world filled with division, political, racial, and ideological. People are quick to label each other as enemies, cutting off dialogue and choosing hatred over understanding. But Jesus invites us into a higher calling. Loving our enemies doesn't mean agreeing with them. It means seeing them as human, as individuals made in the image of God. It means praying for them, even when it feels hard, and recognizing that love has the power to transform hearts. Martin Luther King Jr. famously applied this teaching in his pursuit of civil rights. He often spoke about the power of nonviolent resistance and the need to love those who opposed equality. His movement wasn't just about changing laws, it was about changing hearts. King understood that hatred only breeds more hatred, but love has the power to break that cycle. In our own lives, whether it's dealing with a difficult colleague, a strained relationship, or even systemic injustice, Jesus' command to love our enemies challenges us to respond not with anger, but with love, a love that has the power to transform both us and the world around us. In Matthew chapter 6, verse 19 to 21, Jesus shifts the focus from relationships to material possessions. Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moths and vermin destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. But store up for yourselves treasures in heaven. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. In today's consumer-driven culture, we are constantly told that success is measured by what we have, our homes, cars, bank accounts, and status. But Jesus warns that these earthly treasures are temporary. What does it mean to store up treasures in heaven? It's about investing in things that have eternal value, relationships, acts of kindness, generosity, and spiritual growth. It's about recognizing that our true worth is not in what we own, but in who we are and how we love others. In a world obsessed with materialism, this teaching is a call to shift our focus from accumulating wealth to cultivating character. How often do we find ourselves stressed about money, worrying about our next big purchase or investment? Jesus is inviting us to place our security not in things, but in God, who provides for our every need as recorded in Matthew chapter 6, verse 25 to 34. This doesn't mean we should neglect our responsibilities or avoid financial planning. It's about understanding the proper place of wealth in our lives. Money is a tool, not a master. When we use our resources to bless others, whether through charity, supporting our communities, or simply being generous with our time and talents, we are storing up treasures in heaven. These are the things that endure beyond this life. One of the most universally recognized teachings from the Sermon on the Mount is the Golden Rule, found in Matthew chapter 7, verse 12. So in everything, do to others what you would have them do to you, for this sums up the law and the prophets. At its core, this teaching is about empathy, putting ourselves in someone else's shoes and treating them with the same kindness and respect we would want for ourselves. In a world that often feels divided and polarized, the Golden Rule is a simple yet powerful tool for healing. Imagine if every interaction, whether online or in person, was guided by this principle. What would happen if we chose to listen more, to judge less, and to approach others with compassion rather than suspicion? The Golden Rule invites us to look beyond our own interests and consider the needs and feelings of others. This teaching is particularly relevant in today's digital age. Social media can often be a breeding ground for criticism, negativity, and division. But what if we approached our online interactions with the Golden Rule in mind? Instead of reacting out of anger or frustration, we could pause and think, how would I want to be treated in this situation? By choosing empathy, we create a ripple effect of kindness that has the potential to transform our communities and ultimately our world. If you want to dive deeper into how these teachings can change your life, subscribe to my channel for more insights on applying biblical wisdom in today's world. And don't forget to share this message with someone who needs to hear it today. Because the power of Jesus' words can transform not only your heart, but the world around you. Thanks for watching.